Okay. I am the great mighty Pooh, and I'm going to throw my shit at you. A huge amount of tish will come from my chocolate starfish. How about a scat, you little twat? There we go. Hello, viewers and people who are still here from listening to my Great Mighty Pooh soprano. I am joined here by a very special guest. It is the one, the only, as you can see from the title, Tats from Tats Top Videos.
Hi!
Yes, I'm still surprised I managed to talk you into this.
Well, you are my team member.
Yes, that's true. How long have I been on the team now? It's been like 8 or 9 months, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah, about 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. Just like, I've been watching your channel for a couple of years, and then I just discovered your Twitter account, and then discovered that you had a Discord. I was like, where have I been all this time?
Nod land. Something like that. Yeah.
And for those of you wondering, this the video that we have here is Final Fight, but it's not just any Final Fight, it's a triple Final Fight. We may not necessarily do the entire thing because it's just 3 playthroughs of the same game. And because this is behind the scenes, this was recorded footage, but because the footage was for a specific NPC in this, I had to record it. Well, I say I had to. I did record it for all 3 characters. But like you said to me earlier that you weren't familiar with Final Fight. Have you played Streets of Rage?
I played it when I was like 4, I think. 4 or 5, whatever. It was a very young time I played it, and I think I went to this country club, and they had it in the games room. I think it was the one with, they had Axel, and one of the characters was Skate, I think, and Blaze in it.
Yeah, I think that might have been Streets of Rage 2.
Like Honda. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I remember. And that's all I've played, I think. And I did play it when I went to university. Someone had it on their laptop. It was like 2-player co-op, and I was playing as the big dude. But I don't remember much of that too. So.
Yeah. This was effectively the counterpart to that. Like, it used the same sort of combat system, the same sort of style and layout. Although one thing in fact, I'll just start the video at this point.
Okay.
No, here's the 3 characters: Guy, Cody, and Hagar.
Guy? Like, they couldn't come up with a name?
The funny thing is that I think Guy was not in the SNES version. And this is one of the things that I discovered when I was trying to record this, because I had a SNES emulator, and I fired this up, and yeah, there was no 2-player, there was no Guy, and the main character who I was trying to record, which is Poison, isn't actually in it. They went through a really weird phase in this when they ported. I mean, this one I'm playing here is the one that's on Steam as part of the Capcom Beat 'em Up collection. So for those people out there who are saying don't use emulators, this isn't emulated. This is perfectly legal. But yeah, it's a fairly standard beat 'em up mob style game of just well, yeah. Case in point, I think this used to be. I mean, thinking about it, this is a coin eater. Like, I will die a lot in this, and this is even on the hardest difficulty.
Why does the light keep going on and off?
That's actually an aesthetic thing. I don't know why it does that though. I think the story behind this is the character we saw at the start, who has the most sinister laugh ever, has kidnapped...
No. The sinister laugh ever has got to be Malcolm Betruger from Doom 3.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That is. Ugh. Oh, hello. Someone just subscribed to my channel. Well, welcome, new subscriber. Ah, yeah, there he is. Yeah, this guy here has kidnapped your girlfriend. Well, Cody's girlfriend, anyway. And it's Hagar's daughter. So
Okay.
there's an interesting element to this where, like, you can play as Hagar, which is basically Cody going up to Hagar and saying, "Look, can you go rescue my girlfriend, who's your daughter?" And I think Guy is supposed to be like one of Cody's friends. Although the interesting thing, like from the story of Cody, he apparently turns into a criminal in later final fights. Like, he actually gets sent to jail.
Huh.
And funnily enough, Poison becomes a playable character. Oh, there she is. Well, actually, no, that's not Poison. Poison's the one with the purple hair. I forget what this one's called.
Palette swap.
Yeah, this was the time where new characters was literally palette. Oh, Roxy. There were palette swaps. But yeah, as I was saying before, they took Poison and Roxy out of the console ports and replaced it with male characters.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was because they said violence on women is not good. Whatever. They didn't want to get it censored or something.
Well, I think the idea is that they censored it in that way because they didn't like the idea of beating up women, or in this case, because it's actually revealed in lore that Roxy and Poison are not women; they're transgender.
Transgender, yeah.
And they obviously had a bit of an issue with like beating up transgender people in this. And I just found that as really weird because no one raised it as a problem. And this is me deliberately taking time and getting beaten up by them for the purposes of recording. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, there's Andre the Giant.
That's a train behind you, right?
Yes. This is a subway.
Too big?
I think the idea is this city that you're in is overrun with crime. I will say that Andre the Giant there is the very definition of a coin eater in this. He literally has a move where he grabs you and strangles out about 3/4 of your health.
Did he also appeared as a character in, was it Street Fighter, or was the SNK versus whatever game?
Did he show up in SNK?
Well, I know there was one game where I played a demo of. It was like Capcom versus SNK, I think. And yeah, Poison was like the I'm not sure.
That, yeah.
Trainee or something.
Yeah, I vaguely remember they had a game where Poison was a character in the beat 'em up. I never really got into the beat 'em up scene, but I just remember that, especially when I was doing research for this.
Yeah.
But there we go. I'm getting my ass handed to me. This was one thing that Streets of Rage was different. I don't think Streets of Rage had an arcade port. I think it was purely a console port.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, in the arcades, I mean, you obviously know this. In the arcades, they deliberately make these games difficult so that they can eat your money.
That's true.
Hence the term coin eaters. Not that it ever stopped me playing these things. I mean, I spent God knows how much playing Time Crisis.
Oh yeah, wasn't there Lethal Enforcers as well?
Sorry, say that again?
Lethal Enforcers was another game for the arcade.
Not sure.
Like
I know that one.
light gun game, kind of like House of the Dead.
I know I played the crap out of that. Even got them on my Wii somewhere. Although I will say that it took me an absolute ice age to get House of the Dead to work on my PC. So
Which one?
it was the original one, because you can't get a hold of that on anything other than like the old PC disc. So I got the arcade emulator and the arcade ROM, but I had to configure it to work with my mouse.
Yeah, that sounds complicated.
It did take me about an hour to get it to work, but I got it to work with House of the Dead and the original Time Crisis. And then I just thought, cool. I'm done with this now. Emulation's one of those things that I've been doing like since I was in college, because I used to take I was doing emulation on floppy disks, so I had a floppy disk with the emulator on it and floppy disks of the ROMs.
Ah, so you know exactly everything then.
I know how to use them and generally to configure them. I mean, I know you've been trying out the Dolphin emulator.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which
works really well. Just a shame my GameCube died though.
Yeah, that was quite a shame to hear about that. Although that basically went the same way as my N64 did, because that died its death. I don't know why I'm paused here.
Okay, taking a break. But yeah, I played a lot of the GameCube, and I think the reason why they don't last is because the Laserdisc doesn't last too long. It sometimes just won't read the games properly. I
wonder if it went the same way that my old PS3 went, because it had. I was in the middle of playing, I think it was Battlefield Bad Company 2 or whatever it was called, and I was midway through a multiplayer match, and then suddenly the game just died, but then the PlayStation wouldn't read any discs anymore.
Yeah, maybe, because that's what happened with the GameCube. It wouldn't, because the power would turn on, but it won't read any discs. Like, it just said unreadable disc. I noticed that when I played The Simpsons Hit and Run, and it was sometimes it just wouldn't play. And then when I would load up Super Smash Bros. Melee, when I picked Jigglypuff, the game would crash and say unreadable.
Huh. I guess the laser reader was having trouble reading the data.
Yeah.
Here's a character with a rather amusing name, Sodom.
Interesting. With the biggest amount of... That's a lot of ropes. Usually you only have 3, and they only go up to like mid-height.
You know, I've never really thought of that.
I play a lot of Dead or Alive, so I know when you fight in the arena, there's only 3.
I think the only Dead or Alives I've played are the Extreme Editions, and they're not fighting games.
No, they're not. They're something entirely different.
They are fan service games.
No comment from me.
I think I've just outed myself. Yeah, unfortunately this boss is incredibly frustrating because he has what I can only describe as...
Yeah, it's kind of unfair too. It's like you're in an arena ring and like you're just using fists, but he's using samurai swords.
Like, there's that as well, but he also, when you knock him down, he has a breakout attack, and the timing on it is random, so you don't know when he's going to strike. Oh, this has got one of the funniest bits in the game, I think.
This is kind of like Street Fighter's, like, breaking the car thing.
I think that's where they ripped the idea off from. Because, I mean, the Street Fighter one is more intricate than this one. This is just go to 3 points and beat the crap out of it.
Is this someone's random car that you come across?
Oh, you have no idea how accurate that is, because this next bit is brilliant. So you just walk away.
Like it looked like just someone's random car.
Oh my god!
It is literally just some random person's car, and you've just busted it up, and he just shows up later. Just, oh my god!
Maybe it could have been a thug, because that was him just then.
Yeah, that was one of the thug characters. But it's just interesting just to...
He destroyed the thug's car.
We just destroyed a random person's car. Like, you don't know who it was, and then suddenly just someone comes along, it's like, oh my god, my car's been destroyed.
And he's the final boss of the game.
I
And he's in a new car, like Twisted Metal.
I nearly said that the final boss in the game is a cripple, but he isn't. He's just in a wheelchair.
He's Simon from Cry of Fear.
Doubtful, because I'm pretty sure Simon couldn't walk.
That's what I said. He's Simon in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that's the point. Is that the final boss in this game can walk?
Oh, okay.
He starts in a wheelchair, and then when you throw him, you throw him out of the wheelchair, and then he just gets up.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe he's like trying to like claim benefits or something. Ah, yes. Here's the knife Easter Bunny.
I love how everyone's just chill with them, just having a fight in the bar.
Well,
It's a regular Thursday night.
Well, I mean, look at the third one from the right there. That's a child.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, there are people there with knives and swords and just an old guy reading the paper there, and they're in a bar, and it's just a child there just watching this going on.
The bad guy's not really doing his job.
I'm starting to wonder if he's trying to work out like a crick in his neck, because he just keeps turning it. So, oh, I'm too old for this. You just work this out amongst yourselves. Oh. And that fat guy there was called Wong Hu. I think I've just found Doctor Who's long lost cousin. Maybe.
That's pretty cool. Just threw the knife through the door. That's pretty impressive.
It's a magic trick. Ah.
It's kind of what Greg did in the SCP's edition.
What, threw a knife through a wall?
No, picked you up like that.
Oh, right. I must say, I've been enjoying watching the SCP sedition stuff that's been going on. It's been really interesting seeing that develop.
Oh, well, thank you. You might like the new one we're making, but it's not really a... it's not... People think the next one we're doing is just going to be question. It's not. It's literally just like an episode. It's when 682 meets 079, the computer. And they get put in the same cell, so they get to talk to each other. So it's not really an ask question, it's just those two talking to each other.
That's interesting, because there was that whole lore element about how they communicated with each other.
Yeah.
That's going to be quite interesting to see how they're characterised there. I mean, for those of you who don't know what the SCP sedation is, it's a series that the Tats team has been doing where they animate the SCPs as well as other characters interacting with each other, usually through questioning. I mean, I think some of the main ones at the moment have been questioning involving Watch.
Yeah.
Which I think, listening to what's been going on in some of the comments and in the Discord server, some people are really curious about the whole concept.
Yeah, they think it's canon and stuff, but it's not. It's just we do them, and then the audience gets to ask questions on the SCP, and then we basically come up. We put ourselves in that SCP's sort of livelihood, how it thinks and acts, and then we come up with the answers. Then I animate it, so...
Well, it kind of makes sense, really, because there's enough material on the SCP website and associated material to get an idea of the kind of personality that these SCPs have.
Yeah.
I think one of the ones that I enjoyed quite particularly was the mask.
Oh yeah, the mask.
I mean, especially considering that they just had this whole there was that whole element of it was very charming, but also had like a very fragile personality. Like when it got
Yeah.
angry, it just went absolutely like demonic.
It did, yeah.
Which I think shows a lot of research into the source material, because that really does feel like the kind of character that Mask would be.
Majora's Mask.
Sorry?
Majora's Mask.
Oh god. That's a classic. I just started paying attention to this video again. We're beating up a cop.
Why?
Well, why not? I think the idea is that he's. I mean, the whole concept is this is vigilante justice, and
Yeah.
whilst that guy's a cop, I think he's like a corrupt cop. But they make a point that he's the cop who arrests Cody,
Oh, okay.
and apparently Poison falls in love with Cody.
Huh.
I've got no idea what's going on right now. I'm assuming we're in some sort of ironworks and I'm getting set on fire.
You think they'd be like red flamed, not, I mean, orangey yellow flame, not red flamed.
It's just occurred to me that flame effect is the same one they use in Street Fighter.
A little bit. Yeah, it's more orangey yellow in Street Fighter though.
Yeah, I suppose it is real. I'm just thinking, it's been a while since I played with Street Fighter. I just remembered getting caught by Dalzim's yoga file.
Yoga fire, yeah.
Or as we used to call it when I was younger, yogurt. Yogurt file.
I didn't think you said that. Now that you mention it.
I do love looking back on some of those old audios and just thinking like some of the things it could have been saying. Like one of my favourite ones was Smash Bros with Captain Falcon, where he says show me your moves. I used to like thinking he said show me your boobs.
Why would he say that though in the N64 version? Because there was no females in that one, apart from Samus. But
Wasn't Peach in it? No, she wasn't.
no, she was in Super. She was in Melee.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
I
right.
thought you were talking about the one in N64.
Outside of Samus. I never really thought of
Yeah.
that. Although, was Captain Falcon in the N64 version?
Yeah, he was in it. He was the character I played as. Captain Falcon and Ness in the N64 version.
Ah, yes, Ness. The first time that the West ever knew who he was.
Yeah, I had no clue who he was.
No, neither did I. I only knew that. I only knew who he was when it was in Melee, where they had the trophy about him, and they said he was a character in Earthbound.
Most of the stuff in Smash Brothers Melee, like the trophies, I had no idea.
So, some of them I know, but that's only because I'd played the games. Like again, the likes of like Ness and Mr. Saturn. I think it was Mr. Saturn. The head.
Yeah,
The walking
a
head.
little bow. Yeah, with a little bow thing on its head.
One of the most useless items in Melee.
Along with the fan.
Yeah. Well,
And the cloaking device.
yeah, it's because the AI never had any difficulty with the cloaking device, so it was kind of a redundant item.
Yeah.
I mean, it was useful in, well, semi-useful in the multiplayer, but yeah, it was a bit crap. Three women and a giant. That sounds like the lead up to a sitcom. I will say, when I was playing through this, I was reminded of Streets of Rage, and by the end of this, I would have rather have been playing Streets of Rage. I mean, this game suffers notoriously from stun locking.
Yeah.
Like, especially with Andre the Giant, because he has this horrible move where he will throw you, but then he has a ground pounding move where he will pound you on the floor.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. So you can't really avoid it.
No, and I get quite annoyed when games do that. I have it happen to me a couple of times in Monster Hunter, where you just get caught in a tricky combo and you just have no chance of getting out of it. And this guy's being very liberal with his grenades.
I don't even know what move that is when he does that. Okay, he just blew himself up.
Yes, I don't quite know why he does that. I think this is a weird bonus level here, because you're just walking along
Punch
breaking
glass.
The trick to it is you have to punch the glass in the middle, otherwise it just spins. Oh, there we go.
That seemed easy.
It's just another one of those. Here's some points. That actually reminds me, the console versions of this, I think they missed out this level.
Wait, why?
I don't know. It might have been this level. It might have been. I know it missed one level. I don't know. It might have been like data restrictions, because obviously this was
Yeah,
still when it was on
maybe.
cartridges. That was certainly a trend that they worked to when they were porting games to console. They just stripped bits out of it. I mean, when I did the Double Dragon footage for the NES, I compared that to the arcade version, and they stripped a lot out of that.
Ah, damn. Wait, what's the city we're in?
I can't remember. All I know is that Hagar is the mayor.
If it's supposed to be like New York, then why is there like three three Chrysler buildings?
Yeah, I think if I move along enough, there might be another one. Because obviously they've just copied it.
Another one.
Oh, yapping doggy.
Meant to say Empire State Building. I said Chrysler Building, but yeah. That dog does not seem to fit with this game.
It's just yapping there. I think this game was trying to be a bit comedic. I think. In fact, thinking about it, yeah, I think this is supposed to be like New York, because I think a bit later you see what I can only think is the Statue of Liberty.
Okay. Green lights, and it's very clean for New York. I know a lot of people live in New York, and they said it's not very clean at all.
Yes, this
Very
is
grimy.
especially considering this is supposed to be a New York, like, run by gangs. You wouldn't think it would be this clean.
Yeah. Be like Condemned.
The gangs
That's-
came and cleaned up our streets.
Well, Condemned Criminal Origins was supposed to be based in New York, but they called it Metro City instead. But it has characteristics of New York City in it, so, and you can tell by that how grimy and run down it was.
Now thinking about it, I think this might be called Metro City as well.
Huh.
Yeah, Condemned Criminal Origins, that takes me back. I think I played the second one, then the first one.
Didn't like the second one at all.
No, that's been the general consensus, especially considering the whole concept of that one was the evil hubcaps on the wall.
Yeah, I did the top 5 reasons why I enjoyed, because the only thing I really liked about it was the combat.
The
But
combat
everything
was
else
pretty
wasn't that
sweet,
good.
I will say. I mean, the Condemned games had an interesting first-person combat system, which, to be fair, I don't think I've seen done in many games. Because it's
Yeah,
very,
me neither.
it's because it has the from the first-person perspective, it actually has the swing on weapons,
Yeah.
as well as the parry, blocking, like heavy attack, light attack kind of thing. I'd heavily recommend it for people who like a solid a solid first-person horror-esque experience, the Condemned Criminal Origins. But if you play the second one, lower your standards.
Second one is like more action orientated.
Yeah, I think it started going down the same. It went down the same train of thought as many of these horror games started doing, where they started moving away from the atmospheric horror element and started moving to more the action horror element.
Yeah.
And like, outside of like Resident Evil 4, there aren't many games that have really successfully managed to capture horror while making it action orientated.
True.
I mean, the only reason I liked Resident Evil 4's horror style is that its horror was very much based on threat rather than atmosphere. Like you was always like you're back against the wall kind of thing. Plus, it had Dr. Salvador.
Yeah, I never played that one, but yeah, I've definitely know Dr. Salvador.
Have you ever heard of Mr. Salvador?
Is that the one with the double chainsaw?
Yeah, the double flaming chainsaw.
Yes.
Yes, he shows up in the unique map in Mercenaries mode, and he has this tendency to charge across the map, swinging his double chainsaw wildly. Yeah, so someone spent a lot of time tagging all of these bathroom stalls.
Saying sexy, sexy,
Yes.
sexy on it.
I think someone's trying to compensate for something.
Have to comically, they always do comical meat in video games. It's like either a roast chicken or a steak or a drumstick or ribs.
Yes, because a roast chicken is the perfect cure for a knife wound.
Wasn't there like TV tropes thing about that called hyperactive metabolism? Where it's like you just, in Far Cry 2 you just drink water to heal wounds, and in Breath of the Wild you just eat lots of food.
Breath of the Wild had an interesting concept with that, in the sense of, you just eat food and you get all your health back after you've been set on fire. I think, was it Far Cry 2? It might have been Far Cry 3, where when your health was low enough, you could, when you heal yourself, you perform like almost like a survival healing action, like resetting a joint or something.
Yeah, I like that. You do it in Far Cry 2 as well.
Oh, it was Far Cry 2 as well. It's been ages since I played that.
Far Cry 2 ones are a little bit more gory there.
Yeah, I think they downgraded it a bit when they went to Far Cry 3. Which I think was one of the few things that Far Cry 2 had over Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
I played a fair bit of Far Cry 2 and was not impressed.
I think I got it on Games with Gold, and I think I've done like the intro and first mission, but I haven't touched it since.
I played a fair few missions in it, and it has some interesting concepts in it, but it feels more like a proof of concept, or like a pilot for Far Cry 3. Especially when they had the whole point of not being able to like go everywhere on the sandbox was based entirely on you have malaria.
Yes.
Which I must admit is an interesting way to start a game. You're showing up to overthrow the local weapons arms dealer, and as soon as you arrive, you get malaria and nursed back to health by the person you're supposed to kill. Somehow I don't think he's a good assassin. Which is more than can be said for these knife-wielding maniacs.
Dog's really happy he got all his knives on the ground.
Fetch the knives! Fetch the knives! It looks like we're just looking at the background there, it looks like we're approaching a nuclear blast.
It certainly does. I like the lights are all green. And
Yeah, somehow I don't think...
I love how everything else is gold. They must have a lot of money to construct the city if everything's made out of gold.
I wonder if that's supposed to be like brass, but even then, that's not cheap. Oh, and it looks like the Statue of Liberty's taking a piss.
What's that weird yellow thing coming?
I know! It really does look
There's a
like...
laser beam shining on it.
Yeah, but it's where it's shining at is the problem. Like, that does not look right.
Unless it's supposed to be the sun and it's just
I think that's what it's supposed to be. But... one, the sun shouldn't be that small when it's setting in the sky, and two, what is that line coming from the sun to the Statue of Liberty?
So it's some sort of like Mass Effect drone powering it up.
Is that
it's going to be like Saints Row 4 and it's going to turn into a giant thing you can control.
Oh, and here's Abigail.
Who's clearly just another one of those.
It's just another Andre the Giant. I mean, he's got a slightly different moveset, but basically the same. And yeah, it just throws me into other people. I also find it interesting that they've got just a random sign there that says "Way Out."
That's probably how you quit the game.
No. And yes, how many times have I been tied up?
It's like, it's not working, we should try something else.
Well, they changed it in the later ones. I think the second one they had Jessica, who was the girl in this. They have her chained up in a dungeon with like a water level rising up.
Oh yeah, that one I've seen. I think someone did like a let's play of it. I remember seeing that.
I think Final Fight 3, the continue screen is your character strapped to a table with a spike, like a rack of spikes coming down.
We are doing a list on that, I think, like top continue game over moments in games.
What would be the basis for that? Like, is that based on like horror?
I'm not sure. Just in general, like continue, because I know Smash Brothers has it.
Yeah, so Smash has a semi-sinister one, if I remember.
It's just a little like toy thing on its side.
Yeah, it's just a toy, just falls there and just slumps in a corner, or slumps in front of you, and it's like, continue. Well, I did like. I think it was the original Star Wing. Was it Star Wing? Star Fox? The one for the SNES.
Yeah, with the really cool music.
Yeah, that had a really unnerving game over screen of just Andros just looming over.
True, that it did have a pretty creepy one.
But I will say I know one that stands out for me as, and it wasn't really a game over state, it was a failed level state, and it was Alien 3 for the Mega Drive.
Huh. What was so unnerving about that?
Well, the whole point of each level was you had to rescue hostages from each level and then escape the level within a time limit. But if you fail to rescue all the hostages, you just get to see each one have a chest burster come out of them.
Yeah.
And it was literally, if you missed 3, then you'd get to see it happen 3 times.
God.
So it didn't hold back on that.
No.
But that was just one of those moments where you just look at it and think, wow, like how did they get away with that? I will say, there's a lot of enemies on screen.
There is. They're like, one at a time, guys. One at a time.
Like, come on, guys. You'll all get a chance.
This level reminds me a lot of Double Dragon 2.
Yeah, the Double Dragon games were very much coin eaters.
I remember beating it though. I remember the managing because my cousin had the game, and I remember playing that game and beating it on the hardest difficulty without cheating. You would get the 2-player, and then you would basically kill the second player,
Yep.
but you'll get lives for that. So then you get like I think 10 lives to do the whole game. But yeah, I did manage to do it in the end though. But I was pretty impressed with myself playing it and beating it. So the last part of Ultimate Warrior, the only bit I found difficult when fighting him was the very start, when he's invisible. But when he's in the throne room, that's pretty easy once you know what to do.
Yeah, I mean when I played, what was the one that was that Double Dragon or Double Dragon 2?
No, that was the second one you played when you recorded the annoying enemy. Was it the annoying enemy? No, it was the hard bosses.
Yeah, it was the final boss, the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I say ultimate. There's a little story behind that. I think you might already know it, but when the list was made, it was listed Shadow Warrior.
Yeah.
And so when I was going through doing my research on the bosses, I found a boss that was a Shadow boss, and I thought that was the Shadow Warrior. It turns out it isn't. Because what I thought was the Shadow Warrior is literally your shadow.
Yeah.
And when I played through it, I had some difficulty with it, but it wasn't that difficult. I just found myself thinking, this is going on the hardest bosses. And then I think it was Clown Prince of Crime looked at it and said, nope, wrong one.
And then you found out the truth.
Well, first I found out that you have to play it on the hardest difficulty to even face the final boss.
That's true, yeah.
And second, I had to play through the game again, which is blisteringly difficult because it doesn't understand the concept of stun locking.
Yep.
And yes, I discovered that playing against the final boss, he has an invisible segment and has a tendency to combo you to death.
That is true.
So I think I showed it in the video, which if people who are watching this can actually watch the video on Tats Top Videos because it's live. There's a combo we can do where he does a spinning punch and then he does a leaping spinning punch, and both of those moves together basically wipe out your entire health bar if you get hit by both of them.
Might be that I think you just have to keep cheesing the moves.
Yeah,
like doing
that's
the hurricane kick and then the knee thing to make him both line.
the funny thing is that I didn't work out how to do the flying knee kick until after I finished.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean,
That
I
would've kinda
kind
helped
of knew
out.
how to do it, but I could never master it. Like, it took me a while to realise that if you pressed both buttons at the same time, you did a different move.
Yeah, it's both at the same time.
Which is also how you do, well, that move in this game.
Yeah, I just saw the frame rate just go crazy.
Yeah, the frame rate does tend to tank on some of these later levels because it's trying to animate so many things at once. But then again, that was the arcade for you. They overstimulated you and then emptied your pockets. Thinking about it, I think this is the last level.
Seems to be a very lasty level.
It certainly looks very much like the Streets of Rage last level, and I will say I'm very glad no one asked me to do Mr. X from Streets of Rage because I could not get to him for love nor money. Because there's two there's a boss in Streets of Rage called Mona and Lisa. And they're just two very agile women, but because of their agility, they are near impossible to hit.
I think they're on our list for the hardest boss duos.
Oh, well, I might end up doing that one then. because they show up. I think it's stage 5, and then because on stage 8 you go through like a boss rush on the way to
Like
Mr.
most
X, and the
games
last
do
one,
that, don't they?
yeah, and the last one you face is Mona Lisa, and because you can't use your special, you can't use the special move on the last level. I couldn't cheese it with the special moves.
I see.
So apparently the trick is to use the back attack, but the problem is that the character I was playing, which is Axel, has the worst back attack in existence. Like, it has no range on it. Ow. Would you say these characters here look like a combination of an Australian and an Indian?
Yeah, I'd say so.
It kind of reminds me of Crocodile Dundee, which Clown Prince of Crime would appreciate.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to be Mexican. El Gado.
Okay. So all the barrels up here in the middle of the hallway.
This is one of those. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because that just reminded me. Like, in many games that I see where they have a stage set out like that, so they have like loads of barrels just in a corridor, and I'm just thinking, how do they operate day to day?
True.
I mean, I was watching a Let's Play of Resident Evil today, and they had the puzzle where you have to use a fake key to get the armor key. But why would you have that in a lab? Like, how do they like clock in and clock out each day?
Good point.
And, I mean, I know I'm sort of overthinking it at that point, but it's one of those things I used to find in Half-Life as well, where you have to like set up these elaborate box setups and puzzle setups to get through the labs. I'm just thinking, people worked here. Like,
You got a point.
I mean, I see it kind of less and less in some of the more recent games. I mean, even when I played through BioShock, that at least had a certain believability behind it, since it was a city in ruin.
And what would have gone wrong with if they didn't have any restrictions on sort of like the government just allowed anything.
Well, it was an interesting concept in the idea of what happens if you remove the boundaries of morality and people just they work for themselves, and like all pursuits is based on what they gain out of it. Because I mean, they made that whole point at the start that, like, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? And a lot of people, their first thought would be, well, yeah, they should be entitled to what they work for.
Yeah.
But there's also the element of what happens when that gets taken too far.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I do find it interesting that Andrew... Oh, spoiler. I do find it interesting that Andrew Ryan just allows you to kill him.
Well, I think because he wanted you to in the end.
I could never really work out what his angle was there, because... Oh yeah, here's the final boss.
Okay. That's the fastest wheelchair ever.
I know!
And then you just knock the wheelchair out the window. Oops.
Yeah, the only way to get him out of the wheelchair is to throw him out of it.
Huh.
But he's...
It's funny if you'd knocked him so hard he got knocked out of the window.
Oh,
Wheelchair.
don't worry, he will be going out that window.
How many arrows does he have on that crossbow?
A rapid fire crossbow. Yeah, this is the point of maximum bullshit when it comes to like an arcade coin eater. Like, he jumps around the room. He fired about 5 crossbow bolts at once there. I think when he gets down to like the last bit of health, yeah, he stays over by the window and just keeps firing at you.
Don't even give a chance to get up.
No. And then out the window he goes.
Wait, it was nighttime a minute ago, now it's daytime.
I know!
No, it's nighttime again.
Where were these two?
Yeah, like, where were they? Thanks for the help.
Thanks for the help, big wrestler dude. Kinda looks like the Terminator there. Oh yeah, then I just... Then I just restarted. Who did I select this time? Oh, Hagar. I'm glad we got to
every
Hagar.
place is the slum.
Ah, yes. And Hagar's main attack is the Dick Punch.
Cool.
Right. As much as I mean, bear in mind that Hagar is the mayor of this town.
How did he get that?
I don't know. Wrestling match. I never really looked into
The mayor of this town. How did you make it turn into this?
Well, I mean,
Like the whole city turned into this crime infested.
I mean, I'm just looking at like Hagar's body form there. Like, he hasn't even got a 6-pack. It's like he's got like a 14-pack.
It rivals the main protagonist from Solstice. If you see the front cover of Solstice on the NES, a wizard doesn't have a 4-pack, it's like a 24-pack. And it's supposed to be, it's a wizard, so it's like, what?
I could just imagine just them being in like the business meeting and they have like the design for the character and just the boss there just goes, more abs!
That's one thing I found funny whenever they like do cover art for video games. They don't ever seem to get told what the character's supposed to look like. So when it does come out, it doesn't look anything like they do in the game. Like the original Mega Man.
I was thinking that exact thing. The original
it's a middle-aged man in his pajamas, which looks nothing like Mega Man.
I mean, wasn't the original one just like a guy, as you said, like dressed up in what looked like yellow pajamas?
Yeah.
And it's like, Mega Man isn't yellow.
He's not really a man either.
Well, I did find it interesting, and this was an interesting one that I found out when I looked into it. Mega Man's original name was going to be Rainbow Man. I'm just thinking that would have had interesting connotations in today's LGBT community.
Yeah.
Especially considering Mega Man wins, ironically against the Doctor. Well, I actually just remembered, I think it was Mega Man 6 when they had the intro at the start and they're talking about Dr. Wily. There's a typo on his name and they've spelt it Dr. Willy.
Oh god, not about that.
I watched the
Usually people talk about Dr. Wowie, the horrible voice thing that they did in Mega Man 8, I think it was.
Mega Man 8.
Was it Mega Man 8?
I'm thinking...
Sounds like Elmer Fudd. Mega Man, you must go after him. We don't know who he is, and it's dangerous to leave him alone.
Oh, that was Dr. Light, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Dr. Light, yeah, that's the one.
The derpy Mega Man.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was the Mega Man cartoon.
And that's from the game.
I know they had the derpy Mega Man from the cartoon as well, but I mean the Mega Man in Mega Man 8 was like really derpy. Like you got to admire their naming conventions they had for that. when they had rock and roll. Which, well, what I did find out is apparently from Mega Man 2 onwards, 2 of the Robot Masters were actually fan-made names. Like every game since then.
Know that.
Yeah, no, that caught me by surprise. Although, when you start looking at the names they started coming up with, like later on, like Dustman, Splash Woman,
Pack of cigarettes, man. Fan man. They just looked on the desk, in the office, and just come up with different names like Pencil Man.
Well, they had
Man.
Airman that was basically Fan Man.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Blizzard Man. Although the best one that will always remain for me is Top Man. It was just his entire basis was he spins.
And they had other ones like Yamato Man, and it's like, what?
Yamato Man, yeah. He was basically just Samurai. Tomahawk Man, Night Man. Yeah, they really did start running out of ideas by that point. But I did find it interesting that they finished the Mega Man series off with Mega Man 6 as Wily being imprisoned, and then just Mega Man 7 just starts with, oh, he's broken out of prison. Like, wow. They couldn't think of a better concept than that.
Nope. Just go with it.
Although, to be fair, Mega Man's 2 through 6 were basically the same going.
Huh.
Just defeat 8 Robot Masters and go through Wily's castle. Except in Mega Man 6.
I never beat Mega Man 2. I mean, I got to the second to last level, and I just couldn't beat it. I was probably not very good at platformers back then. But yeah, the second to last level, Mega Man 2. So
Let me think, what was that level?
I beat Guts Dozer or whatever the hell, Guts
Yeah,
Man.
the Guts Tank. Or
and
the Guts Dozer.
dragon thing.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that level. It is. That might have been the one that had the Crash Man boss.
No, I've done the Crash Man boss thingy.
Oh, right.
I think I never even got to the part where you had to fight all the Robot Masters again.
Well, what I'm thinking is that there was a boss where there was just turrets on a wall.
No, I think I've done that one.
Okay, yeah, because that was the one. That's the Crash Man boss I was referring to. Only Crash Man's power worked against it, and they deliberately gave you enough Crash Man shot to defeat the boss if you do it the perfect way. And you have to have like full Crash Man power to do it, because if you can't destroy all the walls, otherwise you run out of power. So you have to use the items in the correct way and destroy only essential walls, otherwise you don't have enough Crash power to defeat the boss, and you just have to stand there and die.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was really brutal, that one.
I think what really bothered me the most was Flashman's power. I really thought like you could just turn it on and off. I didn't realize that you just press it and it just drains by itself.
Yeah. That was one thing that annoyed the crap out of me with Flashman. Like his only if you used it against Quickman, it took his health down by about 2/3.
It did, yeah.
But the problem is that getting to Quickman in his stage is not easy.
No, but it was a cool level, and I loved the music.
Oh yeah, the music was quite iconic in that one, and I will proudly admit I am one of those people who has got through the Quickman level without using Flashman.
Oh, same. I didn't even know about it. I beat the whole level without using Flashman. I didn't know about it until someone said, "You know, it's a lot easier if you use Flashman." So I was like, "Wait, you can use that?" I had no idea.
Yeah, they really did gear that level towards having Flashman's power. Especially
There's more of a challenge out there. Just had to memorize when the little lasers were going to come.
That was the main thing with a lot of NES games at the time, is that it didn't really test your skill, it just tests your muscle memory.
Yeah.
That's how I played through the vast majority of Ninja Gaiden when I had that. Which I never actually beat.
I never beat that game. I got to the second to last level.
I got to the second to last boss, which, well, I mean, I got through the last level, I faced the first part of the last boss, and got to the second part of the last boss, but not the last part.
You go further than me then. I beat the mirrored dude who had that spell. And then after that, like, I didn't even get to the first boss.
Yeah.
You had to get in that big throne room area that was just so difficult to do.
Well, I mean, you do know...
Those flying birds.
Oh god, yeah. You do know the ultimate dick move in that, though, is that when you reach the final boss, you have to defeat all 3 parts of it. If you die at any point, you're sent right back to the start of the level.
Oh yeah, I know. DSV had that same problem, and that's why he rage quit.
To be fair, that is one of those moments that would probably cause me to rage quit. Like,
Yeah.
that is completely unfair.
I don't know why they thought that was a good idea.